going. Okay, well, good morning, everyone. Welcome to ASAE's Marketing Automation Demo Day. I will, in full disclosure, tell you I was so excited about today that I thought it was yesterday. So this time yesterday, I was sitting right here ready to do this. So I'm really glad it's today. I'm representing my company, Fionta. We were founded in, in 2001, right in Washington, D.C. We have staff across the U.S. We were founded expressly to bring technology services to associations and nonprofits. And we're so super honored and proud to have been able to work with over 1,000 in those almost 20 years. Next month is March is our 20th anniversary. We are a Salesforce.org premium partner, a Fontiva services partner, and we customize and integrate Sales Cloud, NPSP, Fontiva, as well as providing ongoing support and extension into other clouds within the Salesforce ecosystem like Pardot, which is what I'm here to talk about today. Here's just a quick slice of association clients we've worked with over the past several years. Maybe even you recognize your own logo in here. And then quickly about me, my name is Karen Tracy. I'm VP of Marketing. As Reggie said, I'm a Pardot certified specialist and consultant. I live and work in LA. When I'm not thinking about marketing automation, I'm either eating popcorn, I'm planning travel, or I'm playing with my pugs and my cats. All right, so let's dive into it and talk about let's dive into it and talk about Pardot through the use case of membership renewal. So thinking about membership dues here. Obviously, member dues make up a large percentage of most associations' annual revenues, right? So almost 50% for trade associations. And while the percentage is a little bit lower for professional associations, and of course, there are other drivers of revenue, right? Events certainly contribute, annual conferences, local and regional events, in-person trainings. But last year, 2020, just, who could have predicted? Threw us for a loop, to put it mildly. I mean, we're here at a virtual conference. I am literally talking to you from my closet because I live and work in an open plan apartment. So everything is different, right? We have absolutely seen incredible innovation in terms of virtual events, but there's a cost to bringing in new systems to associations, to onboarding staff, training, so on. And honestly, many of our clients, our association clients last year had to cancel their annual conference, their biggest driver of revenue, because they were in that part of 2020, Q2, early Q3, where there just wasn't time to pivot to a virtual conference at all. So that represented a huge loss. So the decision for a member to renew is absolutely based on a number of factors: cost, value of benefits, relevance to their day-to-day work, so on. And of course, we all here know the adage that it's so much cheaper to keep an existing member happy and renewing an existing member than to bring on a new one. So I feel pretty certain that renewal campaigns are on your minds. And when you're thinking about a membership renewal campaign, you probably are identifying a series of emails, maybe some kind of personal outreach, a phone call, maybe even snail mail, depending on your the demographics of your association members. But let's think about a time period. So say you are going to spend the 90 days prior to a membership lapsing by first thinking about sending an email, maybe say every 2 weeks. So if we think here, we've got several factors at play. We've got frequency, duration. You certainly are going to have a really clear call to action. This is not a broad campaign. There is one thing that you want these people to do, and that's renew their membership. And then if your association is already using Salesforce, Fontiva, Nimble, any kind of AMS, you already have a ton of details about your members, right? You've got renewal dates, upcoming renewal date, their activity and engagement throughout the year, perhaps their member level or status, online learning that they've done over the year. So all of that really rich data can support your membership renewal ask. So what does a renewal path look like? Well, before you even start to create the engagement path in Pardot, Engagement Studio is Pardot's email series automation tool. You're going to identify what members are within a certain period of lapsing for your org, right? So you may say, 60 days prior to lapse, we want to start sending them a series of emails. Maybe at some point during that path, you even will have someone from membership pick up the phone for a certain member level, for instance. Like I said, you may engage snail mail, or maybe on the reverse, you may, your SMS messaging system may kick in. So you will certainly be you want to analyze their engagement throughout this membership renewal journey, and be able to analyze their behavior. Did they do the thing that you wanted them to do, right? Did they cross that finish line? And our call to action here, our ask, that finish line is renew the membership. So you will certainly increase that sense of urgency as members move through the path, through that language in your emails. The ask is going to get stronger. The explanation of benefits may change, and you're absolutely going to, you're going to continue to evolve that language based on whether or not they did or didn't renew. So enough PowerPoint slides. Let's just dive right into Pardot, because I want to show you what a membership renewal engagement program will look like in action. Are you now seeing Pardot and my Chrome browser?
Yes, we are.
Great, thanks, Reggie. Just wanted to make sure. Super, so now we are in Pardot. Pardot is a marketing automation app on the Salesforce platform. If you're already using Salesforce, this will look very familiar to you. I am in Salesforce. You can see I have my app launcher up here. You probably recognize the icons up here in the top right. And I'm sitting right within Pardot, and I'm actually on the Prospects tab. So Pardot allows for very easy on-the-fly audience segmentation. What I'm looking at here is a dynamic list that I've put together of members who are within 60 days of their membership lapsing. Pardot has two different kinds of lists. A static list, that's like a newsletter list that someone can subscribe themselves to or be added to, say through a completion action on a forum. But the super powerful type of list in Pardot is called a dynamic list. And a dynamic list is wholly criteria driven. Individuals, members and individuals from your association, no one can add someone to a dynamic list. They either match the criteria for that list or they do not match. So right away you can think, oh, perfect use case for my member list. If you are a current member, you are on this list, and we will email member related information to you. If you are not the current member, no one has to go in and automatically take someone off that list. They no longer meet that criteria of being a current member, so they're not on that list. So for this demo, I've put together what I've called this dynamic list for renewal engagement path. And you can see I'm filtering. I have zillions of lists here, but I'm taking advantage of Pardot's really nice user experience to filter to just see this particular list. And you see I have 3 prospects in this list. So I'm just going to hop right into the list. Whoops, got ahead of myself there. See, guys, I'm so excited. Here we go. So I've hopped right into that list. You see, again, I have 3 prospects. All 3 are mailable. That means no one has unsubscribed or had a hard bounce recently. Excuse me, just having a quick sip of my coffee. I'm on the West Coast, so it's a little earlier for me than many of you guys. So here I have 3 prospects who have met the criteria. And what I want to show you is what that criteria looks like. And this is exactly how I built the list. I said, because it's a dynamic list, and I said it's criteria built, there's rules associated with it. Now, in this case, I only care about one thing. So I actually only have one rule. And that is that my prospects, membership renewal date, these are all the different ways in which I can segment my audience. So you can see I can look into Salesforce or into my integrated AMS or Fontiva. I can create a dynamic list based on activity and engagement, email opens, clicks, etc., grades or scores. But in this particular instance, I want to look to a prospect custom field. This particular custom field is coming from Salesforce. Salesforce and Pardot, because they sit on the same platform, they sync every 2 minutes. So as soon as someone renews their membership and that renewal hits the Salesforce field, within 2 minutes, Pardot will know about that. So that's how tightly bound that integration is. So here I'm saying this list should have individuals whose membership renewal date is 60 or fewer days in the future. Every time I create a list, I can preview it. Pardot will quickly spin through my entire audience and give me a aggregate number. It's a good way to gut check, or I can go ahead and run those rules, but I don't have to now because I've already created this list. And this list, as I showed you before, has 3 people on it. Of all of my database right now, only 3 people are within 60 days. And so let's look at my good pal here, Tester Tracy. This is Tester Tracy's prospect record here in Pardot. Like I said, fully integrated with Salesforce. So many of these fields are being populated with Salesforce information. You see I have an ongoing running list of all of my prospects' activities. Sometimes you'll see a number in the score column because Pardot has a very robust scoring and grading system. But if I scroll down here, Tester Tracy is very active, has done a lot of stuff, so the activity list is long. If we look in custom fields, you'll see that this individual's membership renewal date is next month, February 4th. So they clearly fall into the 60 days or fewer. You can also see I'm syncing with another field in my database, member level, and this individual is at the student level, and this will come into play in a moment. Okay, so we've now created the list, the dynamic list that we'll use to seed our engagement path. The first thing that you do, I'm sure, as a marketer, when you're starting to think about a campaign or a series, is put together all of your assets, right? So let's say for this path, we've identified that we're going to send 4 emails, and they're going to increase in urgency and get more and more specific and personalized as we go down the path. So what I'm showing you here is a demo email I've put together using Pardot's email editor. You see the editor tab is gray. I'm in the editing suite right now. I can also go in and preview, which we'll look at in a second. If I care to, pop the hood there and get into the HTML, I certainly can. So I'm showing here that we have an email. Starts with a little tease. It's time to renew your membership. That's your preview pane. And if we scroll down, you'll see that I'm using another personalization component of Pardot called variable tags. Those are your curly brackets. It's your mail merge. So I'm saying, dear recipient first name. Every time I click in the left column, I get my editing suite in the right column. So this is where I would do my editing and my formatting. So I chose a merge field. I'm sorry, they used to be called variable tags. Now they're merge fields. I use the same interchangeably. Dear recipient first name, on behalf of Most Fantastic Association, yada, yada, yada. And then I'm going to continue to personalize this first email by injecting data from 2 other fields. That recipient member level, remember we just noticed that Tester Tracy was a student, and that very important membership renewal date. I've got an ask with a link associated with it and a sign off. So this is a very short first email. Pardot has an additional kind of method for personalizing emails called dynamic content. So we have our merge fields, which injects the data that is in a particular field. With dynamic content, we could actually wholesale change a word, a sentence, a paragraph, even an image. We could change the way a button looks based on whether or not someone meets criteria. So say we have maybe even further down in the path, but you have a special set of benefits that are available only to members who are at that platinum level. If a recipient is not at the platinum level, they won't get that paragraph of benefits. Their email won't look awkward. There won't be a white space in there or anything. They just won't get that additional paragraph. But if the recipient matches that criteria, they might get an entirely separate paragraph of benefits that's relevant to them, all within the same email. So your team is still only creating one email, but serving the needs of the vast of your vast audience, right? So I want to take a look at what my email will look like. So I can pop here into preview, and Pardot, there we go. I was in here just before we started too. The default view, what it will say to preview as a prospect. So now this looks like our editing suite, right? Except that we don't have that editing panel on the right. This is the stylized version, but this isn't terribly helpful to us because it's not populating anything. So Pardot allows you to preview as if a real prospect were receiving this. That means that Pardot is going to look to their prospect record to actually fill in those blanks. It kind of helpfully gives you about 25 random people, but I'm going to go in and say, okay, so what's it actually going to look like for my tester, Tracy? Dear tester, your student membership renews on 2/4/2021. And I know here that mine, come on, there we go. Dear Karen, your platinum membership. So I can really quickly spot check that those variable tags are working as expected. And both variable tags and dynamic content, as I explained to you, those can be used in the subject line too. So I can personalize that subject line. I could put that membership renewal date right in the subject line specific to the recipient. So Pardot's email suite is very powerful thanks to that deep integration with Salesforce. So let's say now I've created my 4 or my 5 emails. I know what my general flow looks like. If you're at all like me, my background's in graphic design. I've already drawn the way this thing looks. I've doodled it on a sticky note because I'm starting to think about what the experience is for members. So I have all of my assets created. And I'm going to go right into Pardot's Engagement Studio. This is in the Automations tab. It's the first item in Automations. It is the beast of Pardot. It's where everything comes together. So Pardot tries to be helpful when I first go to this renewal path and show me the entire path at once. You can see it's itsy bitsy. And if you're at all like me, you just can't read anything anymore. But you can actually kind of get a sense as to how this path goes by seeing it this small. You see that there's a series of things that happen, and then we've got these decision points, right? Because our path starts to kind of pyramid out. But let's zoom in so that we could actually parse this in a reasonable manner. And you'll see here, I'm in the building tab. I'll show you what reporting looks like in a second, but you can tell that I'm in building because I have these little plus buttons. So I can start to, I've already built this path, and obviously I'll be showing it to you, but you can also at any point go in and continue to edit and add to your path. So there is one non-negotiable. Every path starts with a list. And it actually can be more than one list. And in Pardot, you can use lists as sender lists or suppression lists. You don't have to denote that one is a suppression list or one is a sender list. So in this path, I've named it. I've assigned it to a folder. I've given it a description, recurring engagement path with the goal of membership renewal in advance of labs. In case I win the lottery and I move to Jamaica tomorrow and my coworker needs to take this on, it's always kind to leave behind a nice description. I've selected that list, the dynamic list for renewal engagement path that we just put together. I could add more lists here. And again, I could add a suppression list or more than one suppression list if need be. Sometimes some of my clients choose to suppress if a prospect is in a path, they actually don't, sorry, this is a backwards example. Many of my clients will say, if a prospect is in that membership renewal path, don't send them other emails, because we actually don't want to be bugging them with multiple emails a week. So on other emails, I might say, hey, suppress this dynamic list until the person falls off of the list. Pardot allows me to choose when I send those emails, because remember, this is an ongoing path. I'm not saying send an email on Monday, January 25th to this person. I'm saying send it as soon as they meet the criteria for being on that list. But I do want to, I'm a professional association, I want to restrict my emails, say, to the work week. I can even denote when my day starts and ends. So if I say 10 to 4, Greenwich Mean Time, not Greenwich, Eastern Standard Time, then I'm pretty confident that that's a good time on the West Coast as well. Of course, I can change any of this. Your business case may be that sending these kinds of emails on the weekend is a great idea. Now here, this is really important for a membership renewal path, because I want to allow prospects to enter the program more than once, and I want them to be able to re-enter 365 days later. Because what's so wonderful about an automated path like this is my membership team can set it. I don't ever like to say set it, forget it, because that's kind of lazy talk. What's great is you can set it up, and then the time that you would be spending previously, like sending out all those emails, you can actually spend on analysis and improvement. And for this particular path, we do want to allow unlimited entries. It really just means that people can spin through over and over. And then we'll go ahead and say save. So now we have our, sorry, I have a small monitor here. So now we have our path in place, our list in place to seed that path. The first thing we'll do is send that email that we created. I select the email here. I say I want to send it immediately, right? It's not date driven. It's as soon as they hit the program. I like to keep track of how far down the path my members have gotten. So I actually can apply a tag to their prospect record to say they received email renewal 1, because later I might want to do some reporting to see how many prospects have that they received email renewal 1 and 2 and 3, say for instance. Now I'll set up another action where I send the second email 30 days later. I'm not doing any listening at this point. I'm just sending those first 2 emails, and I'm giving them a month. But after 30 days, I need to know what's going on, right? So I actually can set up what's called a trigger. I always forget what that's called. A trigger to see if they've opened the email at all. Because if they've opened it and they haven't renewed, that's very different than if they haven't opened it. So here's my first decision point. So if they haven't opened it, where you see a dashed line is a no, they haven't opened it, I'm going to wait a few more days and send them another email. But you can imagine that I'm going to change my subject line. I actually don't have to change anything in the body of the email, because I couldn't actually even get them to open the email. But if I can write a more persuasive open, I have a subject line, I have a better chance of getting them to open it. Let's presume here that this individual did open the email. Well, what the heck? Why haven't you renewed? So I'm actually going to go in with another trigger and look for action on a particular link. So I'm going to say, did they click this specific link? And in here, Fionta.com, that was the link associated with click here to renew. And I'm going to wait for 5 days to see if they clicked that. Because now we've got a very specific problem, which is we got them to open the email. Perhaps even we got them to click on the email to renew, but they haven't renewed yet. And I know they haven't renewed yet because they're continuing further down the path. They can't continue further down the path if they're not on the list. They fall off the list the second they renew, right? So like Pardot is doing the work for you behind the scenes. Now, let's say this is where that prospect custom field of member level comes into play. I have a very specific group of members who are at the platinum level. And these are my like high value members for whatever reason. I want to look to see if one of the recipients of this email, if a recipient of this email is a platinum member, because then I need to instigate a personal touch. So using another action is do something. So far, we've seen a lot of send emails or add tags. Another action is to notify user. The user is the person in Salesforce at your organization who is assigned to that member or that membership level, for instance. So I want to notify the user, and let me show you what this looks like, and then create a Salesforce task. So I want to actually have a task in Salesforce sent to that assigned user that says follow up by phone. This is completely editable. So this may be, this is your language, or this is my language saying, you need to follow up with this platinum member by phone. You have to do it within, say, 5 days, and you'll get an automated renewal, an automated reminder in 3 days. And here are comments. This is basically just telling this person in membership what has happened. This platinum member has received 2 email prompts. They have clicked the renewal membership link. We know they haven't renewed. Follow up with a phone call and do that immediately. This is really important because we can't lose someone at this level, for instance. You can see here that we now have multiple streams going at the same time. So we are sending emails to people who we haven't gotten to open in the first place. So we're adjusting that subject line. We're sending emails to people who have opened but haven't clicked on the link. Okay, what do we do in that case? Well, we need to change the language within the body of the email. We need to increase that urgency. We need to more fully explain the benefits, so on and so forth. And then we've got our third stream here in the third from the left column, which are individuals who have opened the email and who have clicked the link, but we haven't gotten them to renew. So gosh, what does that mean? The email was persuasive, but maybe they're struggling with the value or the cost. So how might we follow up with them if we think that's the issue? So you can see that we're gathering all of this great information about their engagement. And then finally, we bring these people back together. We're now, say, we've passed membership lapse date. The very last thing we're going to do is set up another task to tell that assigned user in Salesforce that this individual did not renew. All throughout the engagement path, we're getting data through the report. So you can see here, this is a path that has already been completed. Everywhere we see a 3 or a number, that tells you how many people have passed through that portion of the path. So you see I got to this point here where 1 person opened the email, but 2 people on my list did not. So I can get very, very specific stats on the individual emails, but I can also get these high-level stats at any time after my path has started running. So with that, I'd like to sort of hit the timeout button and see if there are any questions I might be able to answer about anything we've looked at, the engagement path, any other features within Pardot. I can talk about this all day, but I think I only have a couple minutes, but I'm here for you.
So Karen, I see one question here. It's talking about the Pardot Salesforce integration, and can you show that? The person's curious, is Heather. She's curious to know how it integrates differently from other platforms that use API connections.
Sure. So there's no actual API connection here. As soon as one of our Salesforce clients purchases the Pardot license, we do a little sort of under the hood installation of the Pardot app within Salesforce. And then I can show you here in Pardot settings. One of the very first things we do is we configure those fields. So these are our prospect fields. These are all of our these are Salesforce fields that our Pardot consultants working together with our clients will determine what fields in Salesforce need to be represented here. You can see here within Pardot. We'll create those custom fields and sync those up, at which point Pardot and Salesforce are in that 2-minute syncing loop that I described earlier.
Got it. So if a person was connecting to something other than Salesforce, once they have that API connection in place, my assumption is they would go through a similar process of picking the fields.
That's right.
Okay. Okay, I don't see any other questions here. So thank you for that very informative demo. And people, you see on the screen there how you can get in contact with Karen if you want to continue the conversation if you need to. So Karen, thank you so much for this wonderful demo. All right.
Thank you. You guys have a wonderful day and stay safe. Thanks.
Thank you.